Welcome back to the first video this year with me talking in it. All the other ones have been gaming compilations or a live stream of me building a PvP map in Minecraft PS4 edition, The Legacy. Anyway, so today I had this interesting experience. So in my part of the country, the US of A, we had a ton of snow. Like, mountains of snow. Biggest snowstorm we've had in a while. Because it's the winter, of course. And well, I decided that I would try to get a video of me driving my tank out in the snow, because if you're a long-term viewer of this channel, you would probably know that my videos that have me driving tanks in them, my remote-controlled tanks, such as my Tiger up here, show you, such as this Tiger, oops, there's a rubber band, this one's heavy, such as my Tiger or my Panzer IV, which I'm about to show you. And those videos have gotten tons of views. Not to mention how I simply just very much so enjoy making those videos. Now, I went out there to drive it in the snow, and it may have gotten a little stuck. I will roll the clip. So you may be asking, how did I get stuck so quickly? It seems that as soon as I put the Panzer in the snow, that it got stuck. Well, I feel like it was kind of a multitude of reasons. Because initially, I thought it would run fine with slight hiccups along the way. Of course, that's what happens on any rough terrain. But it quickly went downhill from there as soon as I put it on the snow. So essentially, I feel like a few things kind of happened. A, you could see probably in the video from the slight ending, few seconds, that the tracks kind of got filled up with snow. Drive wheel, here, I'll show you. The wheels, the drive sprockets and everything got filled up to the top with all sorts of snow. Like, the entire track was pretty much filled. Along here was filled. Even the top had some on it, which was, well, we will get to that in a couple minutes. But yeah, you could see a ton of snow was all over this thing. Now, you may be saying, you're an imbecile, right? Of course it's going to get snow on it. You put it in the snow. Which, I have to agree with your reasoning for the most part, because, I mean, that should have been obvious. But like I said, I figured it wouldn't sink so low. Notably, the snow was probably about 8 inches thick, which to scale would be like multiple feet of snow in scale with this. So, obviously, it's probably going to get a bunch of snow in it. But I didn't expect it to sink that low. Figured it'd pack down the snow or something. I will say, before I took it in to actually have it, well, at this point we can call it repaired, I kind of started panicking because I went in to tell my dad what happened, because he's also part of the remote-controlled tank community, as well as me, and, well, he knows more about them. He's owned them longer, he's done more service on his, he's taken them apart, rebuilt them, painted them, done all sorts of stuff. So I figured, I should ask him. But, man, that couple minutes back and forth was a panic, because I went in, told him that there was a bunch of snow in the tracks and that they wouldn't move, and he was like, well, get the snow out. Naturally. We're both panicking at this point. This is quite a piece of machinery being clogged up with ice. So I took it out on the porch, tried to rev it with the, here, I'll show you. What I tried to do was ooh, that's loud. I tried to kind of rev the tracks, but they were not moving this cleanly before. They were completely frozen stuck. So while I'm trying to rev up the engine, they're only moving a little bit, which is scary. Not to mention my hands were searing with pain. Because I tried to dig out a place in the snow that was less deep than the rest. Maybe because I thought the snow was too deep, so I was trying to actually have it able to run before I realized that the tracks were just frozen shut. Anyway, my hands were burning with pain from hypothermia, I have to assume, and I'm panicking about my $200 investment that just keeps getting more snow on it somehow, being soaked. So, yeah, I took it in. My dad immediately is like, trying to get things disassembled. My shoes are frozen to the rug because I'd been standing there too long, and I had stepped in the shoe, stepped my shoe in the snow, so that's not pleasant. So I'm panicking. My dad's panicking. Eventually, I get my shoes off, still frozen to the rug, and I go into my dad on the kitchen, on the kitchen counter, taking the top off of it, because if you look at the bottom, you will see this is held together by about 6 screws keeping it together, which removes the top half, and you can service it because all the parts are in here. So he's taking off the top because, well, to put it quite bluntly, this thing is packed with snow. Like, the vents on top, which these are actual vents that go directly to the board, the electronic board, that's filled with snow. Everything's covered with snow. So he's taking it apart, takes the top off, bunch of water on the top of the circuit board. Luckily, nothing actually got down to the ports or any of the internals, so he was able to dry it off quickly. Took the top off, brushed the snow off, then he took it to the bathroom to put it over the register, and the snow melted everywhere. He had to clean it up and, wring the rag out into the toilet. Don't worry, the toilet didn't have anything in it, although I figured that'd be obvious. And he basically did all these repairs and, well, not really repairs, but cleaning it up and stuff. Actually, he did have to put the track back on because it had thrown it in my efforts to get it moving. So as you can see, I trashed it, and I need to respect this tank more. Now, this tank has its name verrückt, which means crazy, insane in German. It's gotten that name for a reason, and that's because this thing just keeps rolling with the punches. It will go over any gravel you throw at it, any yarn. That's a problem for these tanks, because, the gears absorb yarn, and, this thing just keeps rolling with the punches, and this is no different. This thing rolled over the snow, got all clogged up. Dad just melted the ice away, and it freed right back up with no issues whatsoever. So you may be asking, how did it get stuck so quickly, even before you started driving it? Well, it didn't get any traction. These tracks are just way thinner, and you may be saying, what does that have to do with anything? Well, the more track area you have, the more support the tank has. So, that being said, this thing had no support on basically ice, which was not good. So it just kept grinding the ice back up into the tank. It kept feeding itself ice. Another thing, and me and Dad figured this out, is that the tracks were frozen. Like, they had frozen to the wheels. Well, that scene in A Christmas Story that the guy gets his tongue stuck to the flagpole? Everyone's seen that, right? Well, that's kind of what happened, almost. In this, remember how I said the shoes stuck to the rug? Well, same thing. Think, this room temperature metal machine was put outside in the snow just immediately after I had taken it out. This thing flash froze to itself. This thing stood no chance. It wasn't adapted, and, well, let's face it, this isn't a real tank. It isn't gas-powered. See, a gas-powered tank would be able to melt the ice right off of itself. This is not. It's a battery-operated tank. It puts off little to no heat. You couldn't do it. So, it just kept freezing and building and building and building until eventually you could barely move it. One of the tracks was moving, the other one was not, and the one that was moving, barely. So, you know, it flash froze. That's the simplest explanation. It went from room temperature to below 32 instantly. Not a good mix. Had we let it sit outside for a while, it might not have frozen as quickly. Because, you don't have that flash freezing. Another thing, like I mentioned, those tracks are not meant for as much stability. Now, the Tiger 1, is a beast of a tank. This thing has tracks, and even on the RC model, that are about 1.5 inches thick. Think of how thick that would have been on the real thing. This is 1/16 scale. Think of the real thing. Would have been as long as a person, So, the terrain wasn't good for the tank. Now, had we used this tank, we probably would have fared a little bit better, as well as not letting it flash freeze. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out tomorrow. I'm going to let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, allow it to adapt to the colder temperature, and hopefully that will help it fare a little bit better because they're the same temperature, and it can't freeze to itself as easily. Because that's what the snow was doing. It was freezing to itself, which was freezing to the tracks. So, we're going to take this out tomorrow, we're going to let it adapt, and then we're going to hopefully take it on a test drive. And if I'm able to do that, I am going to post a video of that. I'll also post the footage from today's video separately, just to have it up. So yeah, that was my escapade into the snow. How fun. Normal kids are throwing snowballs at each other while I'm making my tank into a snowball. I would say happy holidays, but that's already over. So, goodbye.